7 o'clock, we call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the computer upgrade slash replacement plan.
Hey everybody, this is Chris Daly. He's been doing our computers. Rick Ravis, one of our commissioners. Tony McIntyre is a commissioner. Becky Wasilewski, myself, and then this is Casey Pickard and Chief Perkins. So I told him, I gave them this about $2,500 for upgrading, and they started asking me technical questions about why we changing that, and we decided it may be a good idea to bring you in.
Great.
And explain it. So,
What do these different things do? Dumb it down for me. Well, let's talk about the first item. The first item is a sonic wall firewall, approximately $1,200. And that's your firewall is pretty self-explanatory. It's your brick wall between the outside and the inside. And after further review, I'm also going to want to buy one for Lysander Station 1. That one's even older than the one here at Baldwinsville Station 1. You know, you read every day now, there's more and more cyber crime out there, attacks, cryptoware, and this is your first layer of protection.
So when you say firewall, that means preventing bad stuff coming into our computer, or is that what that means, preventing viruses? I mean, what does that mean?
Correct. It's not only there's rules that apply to the firewall. It says deny everything coming in and allow everything going out. And other things that come in and out, we also do what's called packet inspection. It looks at these packets, looks for spyware, looks for antivirus, and looks for malware. And right now those services are expired on your two firewalls, so we're not doing a packet inspection. We're just, if a packet meets the rules, it's allowed to come in.
How long do they last? We buy one today.
Great question. They come with 3 years of those services, and at the end of 3 years, we would buy another 3-year renewal for approximately $700. So we would get approximately 6 years out of these boxes. And right now, like the one at Station 1 out in Lysander is probably 8 or 9 years old.
So we're paying for a unit and the services.
Exactly. In 3 years of services.
No matter whether we use Verizon, whatever.
Doesn't matter. And on top of that, just like a computer, these firewalls have little processors in them, and the newer they are, the faster they are. And so 10 years ago, we were only getting 1 megabyte of internet, now we're getting 100 and 150, and the firewalls can't keep up with it. So you'll see a little bit better speed increase when you install these two boxes.
Is that going to protect us from somebody using the Wi-Fi that brings a virus, or is that something totally different? Is that a separate Wi-Fi?
It's gonna help, but our biggest threat are the humans. If somebody brings in a rogue device in this building with malware on it, and if we're not protected, it can attack us from the inside. If I bring my laptop full of viruses attached to your wireless, the first thing that bad laptop is gonna do is gonna look for other unprotected devices. So the firewall protects us from the outside, but then we use our semantic antivirus, which we have installed in every computer here, actually in all 5 buildings. Jack and I did a tour, 8 weeks ago probably, and touched every machine. As a matter of fact, you were attacked. Your doors machine upstairs was attacked by a cryptoware virus.
How does that happen? What does that mean?
Because we were using old technology to access. I'll try to keep it simple, but we were allowing people to come in through a hole in the firewall, a very specific hole, and somebody found that hole and attacked it. Since then, we've changed it now. That hole is only allowed from the company in
Alpine.
Software, just their one IP address is allowed to come in. But luckily, the first thing we want to do is attack other machines, but only attack that one machine.
Is that what you were talking about, that I can't remote in?
Right.
Like
We can,
somebody-
internally we can remote in, internally.
Yeah, but if I'm
At home?
at home or at work and somebody says I'm locked out, can you?
No, he
I can give
He
you
has a
special,
cure
what's
for that.
called Secure Socket Layer, SSL VPN software. And you can come in through holes in the firewall, encrypt, with encryption, we can allow you in.
That's the big thing with the door system and being able to remote in from home. Like there's 2 of us, or 3 really.
I shut it off.
I know, we know that. Rick and I know that. It's just easier sometimes when somebody calls up and says, we got delivery for Lysander Station 2. Well, Lysander Station 2 is 7 miles from me, and if he's working, he can't go. Where if we could remote in, like if I could remote in from home, I can remote in and just unlock the door and the guy goes in and then I lock the door back up.
In 30 minutes, I can add that tool to your existing machine at home, and then you'll be able to get in anytime you want. I've got 40 and 50 doctors in one practice who all have this SSL software, and they download from home all day long and do stuff.
But you gotta do it from home. It's not like it's portable where I can log into it from work, I can log into it from home, I can log in, wherever I am, I can remote in.
It's not portable.
Okay.
We could, but it's a lot more. We can give you a key fob.
I can give myself 100 of those.
No, they're $4 a piece.
Okay.
And this should enrich your browsing speed. You guys have great fast internet both here and at Lysander, and this thing should give you a little more speed because that's kind of a choke point, and that's a 6 or 9-year-old choke point. So we're trying to push 150 megabytes through it, and it's only allowing 70 or 80 because of the slow CPU inside the firewall.
Which one of these upgrades is gonna help from the system, the Wi-Fi being down? Because I'm constantly having people tell me the Wi-Fi's down here.
At where? It's the first I've heard of it in 5 months.
Every time I go to check it, it's up. The last time it was down, it was, well, you know what, the system was shut
We
down.
had issues down at
When were you
Eagle
here,
Station
Nate?
2.
When were you here, Nate? That you, was it last week or the week before? I was here, I tried resetting the Wi-Fi upstairs and
The week before, it
It
got
didn't
shut down again.
it didn't reset. So,
Yeah, you were down here for 5 or 6 days.
It happened
Over a
twice,
weekend.
happened twice within 3 weeks. The first time was Spectrum. Remember you went?
No, that's Station 3. What is it down there in State Fair?
Yeah, Station 2.
That was a Spectrum issue at the pole. And they fixed that. I was notified on Friday, and by Saturday it was back up and running.
Right, but
But
Tuesday,
that was a Spectrum issue.
yeah, but they were saying that it was shut down, which we straightened that out.
But it
And then
wasn't. It
2 weeks
wasn't.
ago, that's, yeah, 2 weeks ago, they did shut it off. They
Yep.
shut this one off at this station because we had a trunk line installed temporarily to route stuff until the new system was set up. There was something Spectrum put in that said we needed, or we'd be shut down for a month. So they put that special router in, or whatever they did. Well, they said, once you get up and running, and we switch over, we'll shut that down. When we switched over, it didn't get shut down. So Joanne called them up and said, we gotta shut this off. And it's this one here. So the lady goes back and looks and says, yeah, you're right, there's nothing on that. And she said, yeah, we know, it's all on the other account, Well, the lady went in and shut them both off. And then it took 2 days to convince them what had happened.
But to your point, any future.
And that's why it was down when he tried to get it.
so maybe that's what it was with that trunk line.
So notify Jack. I've got remote access. You know, within an hour of he calling me, I can tell you
Well, I
what's
think
going
I
on.
gave you his card and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a key fob. I can come out here anytime.
So we do appear to always have issues. Even once a month, it seems like a problem. But what the recommendations that you give us, is it protect us, A, does it help us, B, and are we gonna have less problems? Because we do have them. Sometimes I think they're self-induced, but
You want to explain that network switch, the way you told me, the ones that we have?
On page 2 at the top, these are, I use simple terms, these are 1,000-mile-an-hour switches opposed to 100-mile-an-hour switches. So that again is going to enhance the experience here inside the building. both here and at Beeville Station 2, also has a slow line. So those are $300 a piece. Do the group of people have a technology budget? Or do you just handle it as it comes up?
Lately, we've been handling it, well, we thought we had a technology budget, but, and hopefully we thought if we could get it under control, that's why we put in that fancy system, was to get more control over it, and then it fell apart. And it was partial Spectrum's fault.
Well, it's working well. It's a nice design system. It's high-end. You know, printing to the 5 stations is working pretty well, except for Lysander Station 1. It's just
That's fixed.
good. You have a good network here. You have your footprint is solid. But what happens with many clients is that they ignore it. They say things are fine. In the same way you guys replace a fire truck every 15 years, you have a plan for it. That's why I addressed on page 3 of this is you purchased 25 computers all at once 6 years ago. And they were low-end computers. They were, $399 specials. What I'm recommending here is that you guys put a placeholder in the budget every calendar year to go out and purchase turn over 20% of your IT inventory. At least put a placeholder in, and you guys can decide, if and when to actually to pull that trigger.
I'm working with Rick, and I finally, after Rick woke me up, I got Rick all the lists that we have together of every computer that we have, so that we can start, because
We gotta identify what's what, because there's no locations here, it's all serial numbers.
all the locations are on the other pages. There is locations on the
Jack and
other.
I touched every single one about 3 months ago, and they're all the exact same computer.
Some of the stuff I sent you had locations.
This Gmail one?
Yeah, turn the page, it should be, yeah.
Okay. But this was 5 years ago.
Yeah,
They're all
that's where they
still in the same
started. They
spot?
should, that's what I said in the email.
Right.
80% of them should be where they belong, except for Megan's and Joanne's, which are both brand new.
Right. Because I was going by Red MX, it
Yeah.
didn't have any locations.
No,
on
it didn't, no, so, which we need. Because Rick, we think we may be top-heavy on computers. Too many. I mean, like you said, we have 24 computers that we're maintaining. That's a lot of
Yeah.
computers.
So we need to go through it before we can decide how many is 20%, to see actually
We
how
should
many we
have.
need to keep, and then work from there off the 20%.
And then they go to the power users. Secretary and treasurer should always have the best ones, because the most important data is on there. But as we go on, they may get a brand new one this year, and 2 years from now, they may get another brand new one. We just keep pushing them downhill, because I'll pick on the assistant chief, it only uses his computer twice a month on Fridays. So he doesn't need a brand new one, but he can take a 3-year-old one.
The deputy chief doesn't use his because it takes 10 minutes to log in your email.
I'm picking on this.
What about if we hold a training here? Which part of this system is going to allow us, or if we have 5 laptops because we have a chief's meeting and we're trying to see a PowerPoint, or we're trying to do something like that, allow us to actually press the button and have it work right away and not wait for it to catch up for 10 minutes?
Everything has a price. My favorite example is, you guys want to buy a new squad truck, you can buy a Chevy 1-ton for $35,000, or you can buy an Isuzu for $14,000. Some people will say, hey, we saved $15,000, we bought an Isuzu, but a year later it's a piece of crap. So you get what you pay for in computers.
I
Just because
understand
you're-
that, but
just
I'm
'cause
also
you're-
talking about Wi-Fi. So even if we're bringing our own laptops in, or even my phone just now trying to look up something for this meeting, connected to the Wi-Fi, it took long to load. Or if I turn off the Wi-Fi, it loads faster than the Wi-Fi it currently uses. Which one of those issues is gonna cause that problem, or fix that problem?
I am experiencing that now.
Well, that's what I'm asking, I don't know.
Well, right now
Is it
the-
the network switch, is it gonna be the firewall?
With regard to wireless, it's all about how close you are to the access point. Now, I think here, Yeah, I'm only getting 12 megabytes here in the conference room, when upstairs I get 110. So maybe we need a couple repeaters in the building, which we don't have today.
Especially since this is the most likely to use Wi-Fi.
That's an accurate statement. So with what you quote is going to improve, but that doesn't address his issue. I mean, if we're gonna do this, we need to address the issue. So we got protection issue, and then what's the other terminology? We have protection
Speed
issue, and then speed issue, is that the term?
Right, it's the speed of the engine inside the computers and inside the firewalls, which get you more speed. Because your internet's delivered via fiber now, and so you have the capacity to have oodles of data, as long as your interior infrastructure can handle it. So maybe we improve the switch upstairs, we improve replace the switch, replace the firewall, and we put a couple $100 wireless extenders that repeats it, so that you can get 100 in this room, not 7.
Is that what they are? I mean, roughly,
Yeah.
$100 a piece?
We'd go high-end and put in $500 access points, but let's start with reasonable ones first, just like what you buy in Best Buy.
Those just plug into that.
So-
Yeah, 2 minutes of programming, you tell it it's called Northwest Fire District, here's the code, and it just repeats it.
I didn't know if you
So
said
down-
like the hotspots that are sitting over there, the plugs that are over there in the corner. There's Cat 5 in the room, just plug it in.
Or we could put in additional access points instead of repeaters.
How often do we, as a business, do this type of stuff? Is it, obviously you don't buy this, we buy this, and then, we ignore it for 5 years. How often do we, because that's what we tentatively do, how often should we stay on this? What is,
Every year, I'd like to see you guys have a placeholder in the budget for technology, and actually have a 5-year plan, saying, year 4, we're gonna do this, year 5, we're gonna do this. You don't have to adhere to it 100%, but at least you have a plan. Especially with the transition, I'm not sure how the turnover is here, but I was a commissioner in DeWitt for 10 years, and there was constant turnover, and the plans really never got adhered to because it was such a high turnover of people. So, to answer your question, I would like you guys to teaspoon this thing every single year. Make a small investment someplace that works to our 5-year plan, so you're constantly upgrading this thing and not ignoring it. Because what happened is, it was great that you guys bought 24 computers 5 years ago, but then now you're gonna have a real nut to crack. Those computers are 5, 6 years old, they weren't good to begin with. And all of a sudden you got this big rock that you have to,
oh yeah, I did that.
So qualify a small investment, because you're small and my small might be 2 different. What do you, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but
I think including labor, if you guys budgeted 10 to 12,000 a year in technology, 5 computers get you 5,000, a few other investments. But once we create a 5-year plan, the plan's gonna tell us, once you
Right.
guys approve it,
yeah,
but I think 10 to 15,000 is realistic.
we just wanted 3,000.
So here's 20.
There we go.
Now, and again, you're basing that figure on 24 computers. How-
Correct, I'm saying, buy 5 a year, 4 a year.
So they should be replaced every 5 years?
5 to 7 years,
5 to
and I'm
7.
recommending nice high-end computers at $1,200. The ones you purchased 5 years ago were probably $500 or $600. But the more you invest in the front end, the more you'll get in the back end.
We are working on the budget in another couple of months, but right now is getting by this year and getting some of this stuff straightened out. I think it is getting better. I haven't had as many complaints out of the treasurer and the secretary as far as the system bogging down or freezing up on them or not being able to get info, so.
Speaking of those two, one of the most important things we can do here as a group is data protection.
Do you want to explain that?
Do you guys as a board know how we protect our data today?
I have no idea.
I think your wife sticks a thumb drive in her purse once a week.
Yeah. Well, every time she's up there.
And that's our only layer of protection.
And that is only QuickBooks. That's not any other programs in her computer. That's not her mailing list, that's not her weight and scales and postage stuff and
If the
everything.
computer crashes or dies or whatever, it's only in that one specific computer, it's not,
Her QuickBooks is only in her computer and only in the thumb drive in her purse from the last time she did it. Now, what happens with these new cryptoware viruses, they lock your computer and they lock your backup. So that's why the take-home hard drive is a good thing, but we should have more than one, I call it a three-legged stool with backups. We should have at least 3 different kinds of backups, known as disparate backups. They're all different technologies, different locations. These bad things happen to good people.
But you're just saying like the treasurer, the secretary, and I'll throw stores in because he has a lot of information on his computer that should be backed up. Didn't you tell me something about it, so much a month for,
Yeah, like Carbonite, I like to use Carbonite, but there's 100 of them out there. I use Crash Plan Pro. They're all approximately $10 a month, $8 a month.
per computer?
But we need to come up with an enterprise plan. We can't just say, let's protect the secretary and that's good enough. We as a group need to decide what data is important, and if we lost all 25 computers, which ones are gonna hurt us? And we go and focus on those 5 or 6 or
You
7.
taking notes, Rick?
I'm just writing prices down. All I hear is dollar signs.
But we need to have a plan, and the board needs to be apprised of it. The board needs to be in charge of it. We have, other than call Chris, what's your plan? What are you guys gonna do?
Call Chris a second time.
Email Chris. and
Email
text
Chris and text him, yeah.
Three-pronged
But
plan.
data protection should be on the top of the list. It's cheap, it's reasonable, it's the most important thing we can do here. We lost the Doors PC 6 weeks ago, and that was a pain in the butt recreating that.
Yeah, almost $5,000.
That was an avoidable expense if we have a plan, if we are proactive in this and talk about it every 6 months, 12 months, the group of us.
Sounds like step one is to sit down and discuss kind of a plan.
Rack mounting bracket, is that just an organizational thing? I mean, is that just literally a bracket to mount?
Yes.
And he did suggest Station 2 be reorganized. And I don't think that price is in here. You remember Station 2?
Oh, yeah, I spent some time over there 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
I didn't put it in there because it's not mission critical. The only thing that's gonna get you is aesthetics. It's gonna look pretty. I
so,
think we have bigger fish to fry first if we're gonna apply some money to it.
so right now, without doing this, right now, we're very susceptible to issues, right?
At the firewall level, you have no packet inspection, which is good enough for most home businesses, but we have too much to lose here. And look what happened, it cost you $5,000 because your Doors laptop got hacked.
Okay, you answered my question.
So they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of
Yep.
flesh.
If we had this in place, the $5,000 wouldn't have happened, right?
That's the question.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, I'm not putting you on the spot, I don't know anything about it.
Well, you guys were using old old methods to gain access. The 2 of you were able to just dial in via remote desktop and get right in here.
Yeah.
Which was fine 10 years ago because that's what everybody did. But then now, in the last 24, 36 months, the hackers are getting more and more creative, so we have to be smarter.
You should
hire
gone so
doormen
technical
for
now.
every door.
So you can tack on another $1,121.
I come up with about,
4462.
oh, did you come, I only come up with 36.
2,200 on page one.
Well, I'm assuming that there's gonna be double labor, if you're gonna be installing 2 of them.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what the labor would be on the sonic wall.
About an hour apiece.
So I bumped in additional labor.
Right around $4 grand.
I didn't figure the labor, I thought he'd give us the friends and family discount.
So how many repairs do you think you need?
Oh, yeah,
I'm
I forgot the repeaters.
I think couple.
Well, you know,
I mean,
I'd put
in the
one-
fire
only talking
station,
on the
I mean, you're only talking
In
over
the
this
grand
station, but what about the other stations?
Well, I think Beeville Station 3, that's State Fair Boulevard.
No, it's
No,
station
it's
This is
two.
Station 2. I think you have good coverage there. The one access point is right in the center of the bay. I think you've got good, this is the largest station, so probably you have the largest opportunities here, but I think the other stations are smaller, and the access points that I've seen are centrally located.
I would start with this one.
I would look at Lysander Station 1. I think there's some.
Because you guys probably need them in the meeting room, depending on where.
Sometimes in the meeting room, it's a little tough.
Yeah.
Definitely meeting room at Lysander Station 1.
Pardon?
Definitely meeting room at Lysander Station 1.
Yeah.
You lose all signal right.
You could put one there and then put one in this meeting room.
So maybe we start with 3, 2 for here and 1 for Lysander Station 1, at approximately $100 a pop, probably less.
You know, you keep doing this and her numbers now are right.
She's paying attention.
I guess it's just a matter of looking at it until next month and decide what we want to do.
In the meantime, maybe we can kind of check and kind of tax release and see if there's any use we can.
And for 2020 budgeting. I'm sure you guys will start your conferences for that soon.
All right, any other questions for Chris?
Thank you. I don't think so. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much.
It's been great having Jack as a single point of contact. There's nothing worse than trying to please committee, but if I can please Jack, then he can please the committee.
You can see how that worked. I tried to get you the money last week.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Wayne, your RTPs?
Yes, I have two. One is RTP 1566. It's for 480 batteries for the 6-month change out for the SCBA's that were requested by Hopper for $155. And the other one is for, I had some emergency gear repair, turnout coat and 2 bunkers, as I didn't want these individuals to be out of service. And with the wash and inspection of them as well, it was $565. That's the only one I'm requesting to get approval for tonight if possible. The other one can wait till the meeting.
I'll make a motion to pay RTP 1567 for $565.
Your second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Equipment request, Tom?
3 24-inch elegant bars at $250.99 each, $647.97. One, that should be 5-inch Storks times 4 2.5 male with shutoffs, $1,670. 2 low-level strainers with 1.5-inch siphon jet, $782 each, a total of $1,564. 1 suction hose, 25-foot by 6-inch male, female, national standard couplings, $650. And the last one, a 2-inch bound torque driver. I'm taking that off because I was supposed to have estimates by today, and they didn't, as of when I left the house, I didn't have those estimates. I'll bring that up at a later date. They're not critical. We've got to have, remember we start changing batteries, which I think is July.
Any questions for Tom?
Did you do any, you got research in that for Wayne? Okay.
Come on, so you're gonna be in executive session tonight.
There is.
No, I don't know the other party.
Maybe.
Sit down.
Hang out with us for a while.
I would love to.
Thanks. The Mercury boat motor sale. We are down to 39 minutes. Current bid is $3,500. So,
Can I ask what we were expecting? Does anybody have an idea?
well, Wayne said he looked up a brand new one. The brand new one was 55. So we're only like 2,000 under a brand new one.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not at all. Except it's what it is. Huh? Yeah.
They might, yeah, there's, he said there's like 39 minutes left, so. All right, so if, obviously, it's okay to accept,
Yep.
then it's,
Yeah, it's not gonna go lower, it could go higher in the last 10 minutes.
okay. All right,
What do you want your name?
What's that?
3,500.
That's all.
3 years old. Don't matter.
I know it's still a good thing.
I'm gonna skip the next one just for a quick second. New Baldwinsville Station 3 roof. Alright, well, I'm gonna skip that because I'm not really sure what the discussion was. R6 disposal update,
I'm still waiting for
the
the
title.
title, certificate of origin, something pretty to put on with it.
I believe she has it, call her.
She was supposed to notify me when she got it.
Yeah, she's been dealing with the accountant for a couple of days. The auditors.
If she has it, then I'll get it up this week.
Okay.
Sorry.
Alright, then we'll flip back over to the junior RAM policy.
Becky, can I discuss one thing that wasn't on the agenda real quick?
Yeah.
I got 2 additional quotes for the boat motor replacement. I know we had the first one. Here's 2 additional, one from Bill Newcomb from Wasco Marine. His quote for a Yamaha motor, 4-stroke, was $72.85 plus an additional $1,200 for the cables. And then here's another one. John, who's this? Cooper's, 8124 from Cooper's. We have the 3 quotes, we should be able to vote on it next month. The first one, Rick, was,
No, the first one is in last month.
I don't know what the first one.
5321 was the price of the motor. And then Jim had said that the cables would work. I asked him again today to verify that, which I know that's package, but I haven't heard back from him.
Okay. I just couldn't remember what it was.
So the next business meeting, we should be able to vote on that, but you can keep these additional 2 quotes.
Thanks. Alright, everyone should have a copy of,
Yeah, I didn't bring it, I thought I didn't.
and I don't know what I did with Casey's copy. I thought it was Casey. I may have left it at the station last month. So Kevin approached the board with some changes that he would like to see us consider for the junior RAM policy. I gave everybody a copy last meeting so that they could look through it. So there's two different things with this. So the district has their policy, which is, I'll say a smaller outline, and then the juniors and Rams have followed Baldwinsville's old policy, which is much more extensive than ours. So we need to make a couple of decisions. One, do we want to incorporate both of these into one very large policy kept by the district? Do we want to just allow the use of the SOGs from Baldwinsville as long as they don't conflict with ours? And then the third thing is making some of the changes so that things that are in both of them match. So for the district policy, the first thing that was proposed was allowing the juniors to be in the firehouse on the weekends till 11 p.m. instead of 10. Any thoughts?
I'd rather have them here than out on the street.
And the juniors have to be accompanied by a firefighter.
I don't mean to sound ticky-tacky, but does an hour make that much difference?
Sometimes the standbys run from 7 to 11, et
Okay.
cetera.
The second change would be changing the report card turn-in time from 5 days to 7 days. I don't see any big deal. The next one is, ours is a little bit more lenient, allowing them to maintain and get a grade average of 65, where
70.
there's, yes. They have to maintain an overall grade of 70, no class below 65. So we can decide if we want to bump ours up to match that. And if you guys have specific questions for Kevin, please jump in. They would like, in addition to, they shall not leave school to participate in incidences, they would like it to say they will not leave school or school activities to participate in incidences. Under the Rams, they would like us to consider removing the Rams being allowed to ride first due to a scene.
Remove secondary?
Yeah, they want them to be able to ride first piece out,
Wasn't that an insurance thing?
yes.
Yeah,
You can't remove that.
They would like to allow the Rams in the firehouses unsupervised.
Can we?
We have in the past.
I know what we've done in the past, but the question is, can we, is it a?
I don't-
Well, hear me out, visualize endangering the welfare of a, is it child, what's the requirement for your RAM, age-wise?
16.
16. If I remember, I were talking with Mike White, and we were there's an insurance perspective on this, and there's what makes sense. If we're not, would we be breaking the law if they were unsupervised here?
No,
I don't believe you're breaking the
you're
law.
not breaking a law,
There's
you're,
no law. What it would be is if there was a 16-year-old, 3 17-year-olds, and they were in the firehouse all by themselves, and one of them decided, well, you know what? Come on, guys, I'll show you how that ladder truck goes up, and he crushes somebody's finger, now you're gonna be in trouble. Now the lawsuit, the door's open, because there was an adult here supervising them. That's where you get into trouble. There's no law as long as nothing happens.
But on the other side of it, the devil's advocate was, Mike White also told us we're insured for everything. He did say that. Remember, we were talking multiple levels and multiple examples?
Yes, you're assured for
You're
everything.
insured for it, but
Right.
Every
Yeah.
claim.
Well, we can get sued for anything.
we
Yes.
can.
Anything we're doing.
Here's the situation.
Jeez,
The guy's 17 years old, he's on the football team, he's a star player. He gets knocked off that truck and shatters his femur, and his football career is done.
Yeah.
When that goes to court, and the court says he just lost $90 million in pay, and they award him $30 million, your insurance only goes just so far. After that, you have to go borrow the money to pay the loss.
So why does that matter if somebody's watching?
I get it.
You got a little bit
Because you
better
would
leverage.
hope that the adult in this situation would be a little bit smarter, maybe make a little bit better decision-making than allowing some kids up on the tower. Just a thought.
Well, we're talking about
everything we do-
16-year-olds with responsibilities.
Everything we
I'm
do, there's a
sorry.
calculated risk.
Kids are kids, and when they're together, they don't always make the smartest decisions.
We have 19-year-olds that don't make.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying that
We
there's
have 30-year-olds
30-year-olds that don't make smart decisions. I don't disagree with you.
We're trying to help.
No, I know,
We're trying to help.
I'm just trying to think of different aspects of thinking of it, that's all.
You know what's tough? There's really mature 16-year-olds.
And there's really immaturity.
Right.
I totally agree.
So we're trying to do what's right for the core. Now, not for nothing, as we're going through these, we make changes today. If it doesn't work, we change them. We put it in policy, so.
My only recommendation when it comes to 16 and 17-year-old is to run it by not only the insurance company, but the attorney, and ask them and get their opinion. That's just me. I know what this 17-year-old stuff does.
Well, we know what insurance is gonna tell us. Mike White's against juniors and Rams as it is. Mike White is flat out set. But without the youth in this industry, we're not in trouble.
This is a big recruitment for us.
I sincerely agree and understand your concern about Rams and the firehouse and having access without a firefighter here. But in the 20 years that I've been in, we have had exactly one issue with one individual. And that was simply trying to have his own brother in here and supervise him, which is clearly against rules that were already in place. So in 20 years, we had one issue with one person.
All right, well, let's talk about the kids throwing the football around in Station 3 and breaking the window. And there's not always the best decision-making. Who was asleep on the couch? Yes. Again.
Pre-supervision.
Yeah. Trust me, I know. One of my kid was involved. Exactly. Just because, yeah. All right, so anyway, that's to be considered. The training requirements for Rams or juniors, steps 4 through 8 are not in the Beeville SOGs, but Kevin and I talked about it, and he's in agreement that he would be willing to fill out the report card per se on an annual basis. So it gives us some idea of the kids and how they are, so that when we have issues brought to us, we have some type of background as to if they participate, do they keep good grades, are they
Is that what
good
4
attitude?
through 8 is?
Yeah, it's the checklist on the second.
Oh,
That's
I thought
okay.
it was this one.
It relates to that checklist. It basically just says, hey, are the kids meeting their expectations? Are they willing to work? Are they knowledgeable, equipment, apparatus, the rules? Just to kind of give us a little bit of idea, because I know a lot of times, at least I'll say for me, because I'm not around them as much anymore, I don't know a lot of the Rams and juniors. I know a handful, just from working like a pancake breakfast and stuff, but I don't know a lot of them, so when it comes to issues being brought to us, it would just be helpful to have some idea of how the kids are perceived. I figured it would be good for you guys too, so when they are brought up for membership, it's something that they can relate to the membership. So that was our policy. And then in the one that's, I'll say Beville created, there's just a lot more of it in here because we just didn't get into a lot of, I'll say the nitty-gritty stuff. You know, specifically like the fact that both applications must be filled out, that they have to have a meeting with the parents. It's not in ours. I didn't think we needed to cover it because it was covered here. So I guess a lot of this just depends on whether we want to combine it into one big policy or just allow them to ours have the overall umbrella view and drill down specifics into this policy.
Can you cite at the end, just refer to that policy, like the end of yours, just put a paragraph.
We can.
A note in there,
Absolutely.
refer to that.
Becky, I'm not in favor of having two different policies at all. I think it should be one, whether it's ours, theirs. Honestly, I think it should be ours. And if you want to incorporate everything from here into ours, I don't think there should be a separate document.
You gonna type it off?
No.
Yeah, thanks.
No.
I think so.
No.
I can give you that in an
No.
document.
But that's just my opinion. I don't believe
You have
it's
it in
separate.
Word? You can just copy it.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I can do that, it's just a lot of stuff in here that's just not, you know, firematically, you know, there's a strict no dating policy.
No dating at all, or no dating at all?
Yeah, they can't date at all.
No dating requirement. It's the clergy concept.
That's right.
Interpersonal meeting.
Yes. So yeah, and then they have like the fact that they can, they have officer positions. So if you guys want, I mean, if that's what you guys decide, ultimately, if you want to make it one big policy, you can.
You guys think? What do you think?
I have to agree with Tony. I just hate doing two policies and then somebody complains about something in one and then they're bringing up,
Right.
well, in this policy, now you got gray areas overriding each other. It's the same problem we're running into with our rules, regulations, and bylaws. Same thing. Should be.
Okay.
That one actually should be.
So
What about these two separate, I'm not sure where I'm talking about.
they're just part of it. So the one is
Just a form that goes along with one.
the academic suspension, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what they currently use for academic suspension. They were just showing the differences between what is used and what we have in our policy.
Okay.
And then the other one is their
Proposal.
officer positions, because we don't have anything in regards to officer positions for juniors and Rams, and that's how they determine whether or not they have an officer and how they vote on them, so.
Okay.
So, any other questions on this, anything? All right, so what I'll end up doing is giving all this to Megan. And having Megan type everything into one, I'll actually email it to you, because I've got the Word document for that, so you can just easily combine it. And Kevin, if you can send the Word document to Megan and I,
Yep, we'll do.
then we can maybe just copy and paste it and or highlight it, or I'll make you a copy of this, so that you can see what's supposed to kind of go on. Working out. All right. So we were going to have an executive session about an employment issue. Unfortunately, the individual is not here, so we will have to postpone the executive session to another.
I would like to have the executive session.
You want to have it anyway?
Yes, ma'am.
How
Okay.
will we do that? We don't know what the issues are.
I want an executive session, please.
Okay. All right.
You want it?
So, I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session on an employment issue at 7:49. I don't foresee there to be any decisions being made. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.